For decades, Singapore has occupied a unique position in Asian tourism. It is one of the safest, cleanest, and most efficient cities in the world, attracting millions of visitors every year. Travelers arrive expecting a modern city filled with impressive architecture, excellent food, world-class transportation, and a level of convenience that few destinations can match. In many ways, Singapore consistently delivers on those expectations. The city is remarkably easy to navigate. Attractions are well maintained. Public transportation is efficient. Infrastructure works exactly as visitors expect it to. These strengths have helped Singapore become one of Asia's most successful tourism destinations. Yet, alongside that success, another trend has quietly emerged. Increasing numbers of budget travelers are looking elsewhere. Singapore is not losing tourists altogether. In fact, visitor numbers remain strong. What appears to be changing is the type of traveler the city attracts. For many years, Singapore formed an important part of the classic Southeast Asia backpacking route. Travelers would move between Thailand, Malaysia, Vietnam, Indonesia, and Singapore, often experiencing a variety of destinations on a limited budget. Singapore provided something different from its neighbors. It offered a highly developed urban experience within a region known for affordability and adventure. The contrast was part of the appeal. Today, however, that contrast feels larger than ever. Many travelers arriving from neighboring countries immediately notice a significant difference in costs. Accommodation, attractions, and everyday expenses often feel substantially higher than what they encountered elsewhere in the region. This does not necessarily make Singapore expensive by global standards. Compared to many major Western cities, visitors may still find certain aspects of the city relatively reasonable. The challenge is that most travelers are not comparing Singapore to London, New York, or Sydney. They are comparing it to Thailand, Vietnam, Malaysia, Indonesia, and other nearby destinations. Viewed through that lens, Singapore often feels very different. Accommodation is usually where travelers notice the difference first. Finding affordable lodging in Singapore can be significantly more challenging than in many neighboring countries. Budget-conscious visitors often discover that a single night in Singapore may cost far more than what they became accustomed to elsewhere during their trip. For travelers spending weeks or months exploring Asia, those differences add up quickly. A destination does not need to be unaffordable to influence travel decisions. It simply needs to feel less affordable than the alternatives available nearby. That reality has become increasingly important as travel options throughout Southeast Asia continue expanding. Vietnam offers growing tourism infrastructure and strong value. Thailand remains one of the world's most popular travel destinations. Malaysia continues attracting visitors seeking a balance between modern convenience and affordability. Each destination competes for the same travelers. As those destinations evolve, travelers naturally begin comparing value rather than simply comparing attractions. This shift creates a challenge for Singapore because the city was never designed around low-cost tourism alone. Singapore's tourism strategy has long focused on quality, infrastructure, business travel, premium experiences, and international connectivity. Many of the things visitors admire most about Singapore require significant investment. Clean public spaces, efficient transportation systems, impressive urban development, and high standards of maintenance all come with costs. Those costs inevitably influence the visitor experience. What makes Singapore particularly interesting is that its tourism success may actually contribute to the very trend people are now discussing. The city has become so successful at positioning itself as a world-class destination that it increasingly attracts travelers willing to spend more. Luxury hotels, premium attractions, fine dining, international events, and business tourism have become important parts of the tourism economy. As this segment grows, the city naturally becomes more appealing to visitors with larger travel budgets. The result is not necessarily a decline in tourism. Instead, it is a gradual shift in tourism demographics. Budget travelers still visit Singapore. Many continue to enjoy the city immensely. What appears to be changing is the proportion of travelers choosing to allocate significant portions of their budgets there. Some visitors shorten their stays. Others treat Singapore as a brief stop before continuing elsewhere in the region. Many arrive specifically to experience the city for a few days, before moving on to destinations where their travel budget stretches further. Food provides an interesting example of this dynamic. Singapore remains famous for offering exceptional dining experiences at a wide range of price points. Hawker centers continue attracting visitors from around the world. Many travelers are pleasantly surprised by the value they find compared to expectations. Yet food alone rarely determines a travel budget. Accommodation, attractions, and overall daily costs often play a larger role in shaping how long visitors remain in a destination. This is where Singapore faces increasing competition. The broader Southeast Asian tourism market has become more competitive than ever before. Countries throughout the region continue improving infrastructure, expanding tourism offerings, and attracting international attention. Destinations that once felt secondary are now becoming major tourism players in their own right. Travelers have more choices than ever. When travelers compare multiple destinations, value becomes an important part of the conversation. Not necessarily the lowest price. Value. What experience can be enjoyed for the money being spent? This distinction helps explain why Singapore's tourism story remains so fascinating. The city continues attracting millions of visitors. It remains one of Asia's most respected destinations. Its airports, attractions, infrastructure, and international reputation remain among the strongest in the region. The challenge is not popularity. The challenge is positioning. As neighboring destinations continue offering compelling experiences at lower costs, budget travelers naturally reassess where they spend their time and money. Singapore finds itself competing within a region famous for affordability while simultaneously evolving toward a more premium tourism model. That balancing act becomes increasingly visible every year. The city remains accessible, welcoming, and highly desirable. Yet it also asks visitors to make different financial calculations than many nearby destinations. For some travelers, that trade-off is absolutely worth it. For others, especially those traveling on limited budgets, the decision becomes more difficult. This is why conversations about Singapore's tourism future have become so interesting. The city is not struggling to attract visitors. It is experiencing the consequences of becoming one of Asia's most successful and sophisticated tourism destinations. Success has elevated Singapore into a category that many cities aspire to reach. At the same time, that success has gradually changed the relationship between the city and the budget travelers who once formed a larger part of its tourism story. And that may be the real reason Singapore appears to be losing some of its budget travelers. Not because the city became less attractive, but because it became something different. A destination that continues to thrive while increasingly appealing to a different kind of visitor than it did in the past.